Yes, coming up out of that tunnel as you've never seen them before, Spurs and Arsenal, that mighty London derby game. That's our main match today, as we say. Welcome once more, especially this week to all our friends in Australia who are just starting their season with us. But first, let's get on with the action, and we start at White Hart Lane with Spurs against Arsenal. Spurs lying fifth in the table, Arsenal second, on a pitch that has soaked up a week of rain so well. For this game, Spurs make an important change. Alan Gilzean is out of the attack with a leg strain. Jimmy Neighbour takes his place. Defender Philip Beale is still out with injury, but Ralph Coates now comes back as substitute. As for Arsenal, they decided to rely on the side that got back to winning form with that victory over Leeds United last week, and it means no place for skipper Frank McLintock. He's the sub, and Bob McNabb, as you can see, is the captain.
In towards Chivers, nodded on nicely there, and now Martin Peters, hard and low across, and a deflection, probably off Blockley, certainly not off a Tottenham player, and going behind for the corner to Tottenham Hotspur. That left Wilson stranded. Kennedy. And now Armstrong, and this might be the chance for Arsenal now, with Kennedy and Radford in the middle. Kennedy lets it go, and Mike England saving Spurs at the very last, because that was going through towards Radford, but a lovely break by Arsenal, led by Armstrong, and now McNabb, onto the right foot by McNabb and into the side netting. Simpson. That'll come towards Radford, nodded down there for Kennedy. Turned in nicely for Alan Ball. And just across the face of that Tottenham goal. And behind for the goal kick. But a very good piece of understanding again by Arsenal coming forward, and Alan Ball popping up. If there's one criticism that a lot of people have of Alan Ball, he does fight shy of shooting a goal, but he worked himself into a beautiful position there for the shot. Chivers coming fast away from that Arsenal defence. Peters, Evans, Pearce, Story. Again Martin Peters. Evans first time. Pearce, and that'll fall for Martin Peters. And now Chivers and a 1-2 with Peters. And Blockley in there, and some pushing as well, as Evans blasts once across, and it's there! No, it's been disallowed. Jimmy Neighbour thought he'd put Spurs ahead, but the linesman was flagging for offside, and the goal does not stand. And in England and Perryman misunderstanding each other's intentions, and now Neighbour in full stride. But Blockley and Rice coming across to cover. He's got Chivers there as well. Chivers! Oh, just wide! And he hit it so well. Oh, yes, says Bob Wilson. That was close, and Wilson knows it better than most. Eddie Kelly. Now ball to Radford. Armstrong. Still with Armstrong, and that's a good-looking cross by Armstrong, and it's there! The goal by Peter Story! It's Story who's got it, and it was a beautiful cross by Armstrong that set it up for him. The little man got it on his right foot, and it was a deep one that eluded everybody in the Spurs defence. Story popping up on the far post, 1-0 to Arsenal. Jimmy Pearce with this throw. Again, quite a good long one. Chivers hoping to use his height at the near post. Perryman turning it back for Knowles. Perryman again. Maybe he'll line up a shot. Not too far for that. England trying at 1-2, and there are so many Arsenal players back. All of them, in fact, were back except Alan Ball, who's on the ball at the moment. Armstrong. And now Radford. Story was offside, but it was all right. Now Radford. And that is going to be number 2. John Radford. The linesman, in fact, there was a degree of possibility that Story might have been offside, but then he ran into an onside position, and Radford was always onside, and Radford running through, making it 2-0. Jennings, the unhappy job now of picking it out of the net. Radford. Stopped by Mike England. Knowles, back for Pat Jennings. Lockley. Oh, straight at Peters, and now Chivers. Can he burst on this one? Still with Chivers, and a flick on Peters. Yes, it's a goal! 2-1. Martin Peters, the scorer. Beautifully taken. And that really opens things up. The Arsenal player, and I think it's Peter Simpson, is down and hurt after that challenge by Chivers, and Story is going absolutely mad with everyone around him. Linesman flagging for offside. The Arsenal supporters think it's all over, but it's not quite yet. And now it's Evans now for Tottenham. The last crisis for Arsenal. The Spurs go in again, all of them, and Blockley once more gets above them all. And it's all over. And Arsenal have won this derby game at Tottenham. A fortnight ago, everyone was talking of crisis when they lost to Derby. Since then, they've beaten Leeds. And now they've beaten Spurs by 2-1. Story, the scorer of their first goal. John Radford, the scorer of their second goal. And then when Ralph Coates in the picture there came on, Martin Peters scored the goal for Spurs that gave them a bit of hope. And finally, in a thrilling last 5 minutes or so, Arsenal held on and took 2 points from the game.
But what about that second Arsenal goal? It certainly caused another storm of controversy again today. My view, as I said in the commentary, was that Peter Story was not seeking to gain an advantage because he was going back towards his own goal, and indeed was not interfering with play for that very self-same reason. The Spurs manager, Bill Nicholson, had quite a different view. But first, let's just remind you of that incident. Story on the right of the picture, offside, no doubt, and the Spurs defenders waiting for the referee to whistle. Radford goes on and scores. Now, what Billy Nicholson says is that Story was interfering with play because those three Spurs defenders were influenced by his presence there in an offside position and they stopped running. Now, Billy stresses that he's not complaining about the decision. Indeed, he recognises that his players ignored the very first law of all, that you must play to the whistle. But as he says, it's an interesting point of law. It opens up quite an area of discussion. And before we see it again, stopped at the crucial moment this time, here's Jim.
Well, I have a lot of sympathy with Bill Nicholson, but on the other hand, in no way can you criticise the referee or the linesman as the law stands. Without any doubt, the linesman flagged for offside because he saw Story in an offside position. But the referee, who's the only man who has the right to stop the game, decides that, in his opinion, he's not interfering with play. So he waves it on. You can see him waving play on, and the Spurs players there, the top left of the picture, still arguing with him. Radford's not arguing. He's streaking on there to score the goal. The real argument was Story interfering with play or not. That is at the discretion of the referee, that's to be decided, and he said that with any doubt in his mind he wasn't. But the whole point it raises is the law in relation to interfering with play. People say, well, isn't that difficult for the referee? Doesn't it sometimes rebound on managers and players? Why shouldn't you be precise and have it that every time a man is in an offside position, then he should be given offside? Well, that would be all right, apart from the very structure of the game, the basis of the game. If that was so, then Stanley Matthews, having laid on so many goals in his lifetime, by dribbling to the goal line and laying the ball back, would have been offside and would have had to have been given offside at the moment the ball was shot into the goal by his colleague. So the very structure of the game is at stake there, and at the moment, nobody suggested a better way of resolving this law. The only thing, the real lesson that comes out of that, of course, is that the Spurs players should have played on. What about Spurs? I said at the start of the season, or a little after the start of the season, I didn't think they'd win the league. Best they can hope for is a couple of cups. But Arsenal have got a grip of themselves and look as if they're in a position to challenge for the league again. Due not only to the great form of Georgie Armstrong, he's back in the side, but also Bob Wilson, sure and confident, and Kennedy, much more aggressive up front. Maybe they're still not the greatest and most attractive side in the land to watch, but on the other hand, they've got back that asset. They're so difficult to beat.